What are you telling me? They lie? What, for money? How much money are you talking about here? What are you telling me? They lie? What, for money?
You say I said, but I did not say.
You see, this is why I didn't do well in high school.
Woe to them who define out of their own mind, but it's a lie.
Whoa to all of us for listening. It's a hell of a thing, really. I just thought of it the other day.
They lie and say it's from on high.
Oh, you can't be serious about that. What are you telling me? They lie? What, for money? How much money are you talking about here?
They say God says, when God did not say.
I'm not sure I really care about this because it just seems it's all commerce.
It's a hell of a thing, really. I just thought of it the other day.
Yes, I said that in the name of the Lord, tomorrow is your last day.
Oh, I'm still here, prophet. I'm still here, false prophet. I'm still here, false prophet. We're still here, false one. I'm still here, false one. Still here, false prophet. I'm still here, false prophet.
About the future being...
I'd like to go to the
False prophet.
Oh my God.
I'm still here, false
It's just that
prophet.
if the kingdom is within its game over, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, I can see getting into this racket. I mean, you know, how much money were you talking about? You hit the jackpot, you only have to be right like once a year, and then you can coast. Yeah, maybe you just coast.
Yes, greetings in the name of the Most High. I think I'm getting full up on this computer with the videos and stuff because it's starting to kind of slow down, and I've downloaded a lot of video from our films and stuff, and so that happens, and so now I'm going to have to do a spring cleaning. Anyway, so did you enjoy your drone show? Did you enjoy the experts weighing in, showing and saying like Stephen Greer that these orbs and plasmoids are basically all the property of the U.S. government and easily made in our advanced technology, highly top secret laboratories like Area 51 and so forth, so on and so forth, or even copying. Yes, greetings in the name of the Most High. I think I'm getting full up on this computer with the videos and stuff because it's starting to kind of slow down, and I've downloaded a lot of video from our films and stuff, and so that happens. And so now I'm going to have to do a spring cleaning. Anyway, so did you enjoy your drone show? Did you enjoy the experts weighing in, showing and saying like Stephen Greer that you know these orbs and plasmoids are basically all the property of the U.S. government and easily made in our advanced technology, highly top secret laboratories like Area 51 and so forth, so on and so forth, or even copying, you know, advanced technology from others to create these. Or the only question I have, you know, about, because I'm always open to the possibility that there can be reverse engineering of anything, you know, pretty much. And it could still look like a magic trick to us, you know, like, oh, we don't have that, you know. But when I see the drone attack one of these round, I won't call them orbs because they're not really the shape of an orb, so I'm not going to call it an orb. But they attack these things. They call them plasma. They're like little stars, you know. But they attack them, and you know, and then if they get too close, the drone goes down in flames. So does that sound like we're all working together and that's the whole of the U.S. government, or does it sound like there's a little conflict there? You know, I'm not sure what they're going to do about rolling out Project Bluebeam or you know, scaring people with an alien invasion or whatever. But those particular vehicles are things that we've seen now. There's been people that have talked to them, and you know, they seem to respond back. And of course, yes, that can be faked. You know, you can have a video of it doing something, and you can say, "Hey, if you can hear me, do something," and then it does something, and you can just add that audio to it. So you know, you can't really trust that. All I can do is go into the spirit, and so I'm not going to take issue with the ones that people seem to see over in New Jersey. And by the way, they're getting more complex. Some of these UFOs, and they're not drones, they're UFOs, are getting to be many different shapes and many different patterns, and none of them are anything like a drone, and none of them make noise. So these things are showing up still, not in droves, but they're showing up. It makes me wonder if we didn't send all the drones out there to counter these guys, because these plasma discs or whatever have been known to disarm nuclear sites and have been known to disarm nuclear warheads from actual missiles that have been fired, and have also been known to disarm nuclear missiles in silos. So they are, you know, conscious beings, not a manufactured thing at all. And you know, it can remain a mystery. But like I said, if you look at some of the ancient artwork and you look at hieroglyphics and different things, you'll see, and even the birth of Jesus that brings us right smack dab in the middle of it. You know, the wise men following a star, following a brilliant star to the birth, and you know, bringing gifts. That without the birth, there would be no you know, without the light in the sky, without the orb, and I believe it was one of these plasma things. The other thing is they've been depicted as like there's somebody inside of them. They've also been depicted as huge, like, you know, stars, down to miniature size, like a ball. And you know, and at all points in between. But to me, there's really, like I said, there's been artwork of like a human head inside one of those objects, indicating maybe some kind of human operator. I don't, there's no way that I can solve. The only thing I can do is experience as I've had experiences with this reality in the past. And you're talking about a reality that is fully conscious, fully psychic, and you can communicate, telepathically. And they do respond to me if I have a thought telepathically, or so I just look up in the sky a certain place, I'll see one of these things. And sometimes they just sit there and don't do anything. Sometimes they just go off in the distance. Sometimes they eventually I just write them off as stars. And then sometimes they'll move, indicating they're not stars, but they're distant, and I don't feel, really close to them. And other times I feel like there's a consciousness just all around me that includes these realities that have been hidden from us, and that we're part of it. And then there's another idea that I had, another thought about it, and then I'll stop after this, where I'm looking at them as beings, as people, that these things are, at first it was like, well, some people call them angels, but I just say as people. And then I have this vision that I was one of these things before I came here. So there's weird, okay? And I don't, expect that you'll take me up on that. And but that's my experience. And then I've also been aware of like the space fish type thing, these creatures that fly around in space like as if they're underwater. And that's another weird thing. I have not pursued it, because the last time I pursued any of this stuff, I got really psychically overloaded and just the near a nervous breakdown. So I was overwhelmed with these downloads of different languages, mathematics. And then I was told that if anyone ever knew that I had these certain formulas or whatever, they would kill me. And I said, well, why give them to me then? You know what I mean? That you don't want to walk around with these equations or whatever they were. And and then I did some paintings to show the connection between those things and the pyramids. And what did I come up with the pyramids? There was something that the pyramids had something to do with souls. Anyway, again, nothing definitive on my part. I'm not going to become a researcher of these things, because if I don't get results, if it's just a personal result, then it just could be a personal fantasy. Then you would have to decide, well, am I right or not? But in the spirit, I relate to these things as people. And I don't think all the orbs that we've seen are necessarily people, but there were a couple that seemed to be hostile to the drones, and that gets my interest. That's interesting. I'm not going to go look for them and start trying to communicate with them, because like I said last time, they seem very anxious to download information into us. And some of those downloads are just too much data and can, fry you. It's like getting too close to the sun. And so, it's got, my intermediary has to be Jesus. That, there's the people don't realize there's a celestial Jesus. The celestial Jesus are like those things are like stars. And, there's, in other words, it's a consciousness of Jesus that is beyond space and time and beyond bipedal bodies. Okay, so beyond that. And, I always feel like when I'm alone, that sort of consciousness is kind of like the ocean. It floods in all around me. And so I don't, when I was just remembering last year at this time, I was in the hospital, and, so there's a lot of alone time, but I never felt alone. Not because there were nurses on the floor or something like that, but it was just because, I have this awareness that I'm surrounded with these things, and they're anxious to communicate, and they do. And so I guess the statement I could make to you is this: we are never alone. You may think you're alone. You may want a human being to talk to and you don't have one, but you're never alone. You can talk to somebody. You just got to make sure that you're not following orders of a demon who is telling you to, kill your family and then kill yourself or something like that. You want to make sure that you're aligned. And but in the Bible, there's people that talk to angels and people that interact with Ezekiel's wheels. Like we saw one that was a wheel within a wheel, with a wheel within a circle, similar to what was described as Ezekiel's wheels. So we've seen kind of like just a brief little kind of a Close Encounters preview. Remember in the beginning of Close Encounters when they arrived and they had all different kind of ships, all different kind of shapes, all different kind of lights, and they were shape-shifting, and then all the soldiers from the past came through a portal, and they were all the same age they were back in World War II. Remember that? And I'm like, where did Spielberg get this? It's fascinating, actually, that he would have that knowledge. And of course, the frustrating thing about Close Encounters is, but the knowledge is limited, and you're not told anything about it. You're just told to accept these soldiers appearing again at the same age they were during World War II. And here they are manifesting in this reality. And it kind of throws the whole idea of time and death out the window. So that's why I like dealing with this reality, because I start thinking, I start getting excited about death, meaning it's not only is it no big deal, but it's, nothing ever really dies. So you're just on to the next leg of the journey of the adventure, and the adventure continues. So that's a, kind of an interesting way of looking at it. But as far as communicating, there's, they will communicate with you, but a lot of times the ones that want to communicate with you, you don't want to communicate with because they're going to try to hurt you. There is that problem. There's good and bad things in the universe. So there's good guys and bad guys. And as far as what the government's doing, the big red flag, I guess, is because it's just prior to the inauguration. And it's exasperating that the government won't say anything, except they'll lie and say something like John Kirby. Well, I guarantee you're all safe, but we don't know what they are, which is that statement alone is a lie, and it's an inherent lie, and everyone knows he's lying, and then he walks away without being arrested. Well, why is that? If you are defrauding the people that put you there and doing it openly from the speaker's podium, you need to be fired, arrested, taken away, removed. But the people in this country are so, my heart's broken a million times, because people in this country are obsessed with all the wrong things. They basically love division. They love war. They love arguments. They love the people that have been in charge of our political system have been, announced and written in their white papers that they intend to kill us all, to kill off humanity and have a planet without the scourge of the failure called humanity. And so they're basically on that trajectory. And as I've seen now, the cost of eggs. Have you seen the cost of eggs? The cost of eggs has gone through the roof now because because Newsom declared a state of emergency with the bird flu. And so they're killing all the chickens that lay eggs. And so you're not getting your eggs. But what's the real plan? It's never what it is on the surface. So the real plan is basically, they want to cut your food supply. They don't want you to afford eggs. They don't want you eating meat. They want to take the farms over, as Bill Gates is doing, and other entities, BlackRock and others. They want to own all the farmland in the world, and Chinese too. And it's so they can control you. Now, this consciousness that has ruled the planet, it is And I'll just say this about, we'll just take Gates as an example since he's so indoctrinated. First of all, the consciousness itself, the mentality is that of a handicapped person, that of a people that are, the Chinese very much look to me like handicapped people. The same thing with Bill Gates, same thing with the State Department, the United States, the UN. All these people are what I would call backwards looking people. And I address this in my screenplay of The Girl Next. There's a little snippet there of what happens at the dinner table, a dinner table scene. I wonder if I can get clips of that. And the sister of Heinrich is going on and on about that World War II, and that the approach of science had been a brute force. Like, in other words, if you don't comply, we'll just beat you until you do. Beat, nudging. And whenever you think about Bill Gates, you only hear about bludgeoning and beating and forcing and corralling, and that'll get them and make them sick, and keep them inside and lock them down. And so that is retarded. That kind of thinking is from very low IQ individuals who are at the top. So Bill Gates may have had, say he had 150 IQ. By being part of this plan and this program, he's lowered his IQ to, say, 75. He's just an automaton for his side. He was caught 2 days ago lying again, which he always does when he talks, just saying that, most of the diseases we have come from animals. And that's why he needs to make those vaccines to protect us. Now, this is, if people still believe that, another question, why is he walking around? He should be buried in a Supermax federal prison. What the hell is he doing walking around? Not only that, he's stupid. He's a moron. He's an idiot. And anybody that thinks like that is also an idiot. It's really not so much that they didn't have native intelligence and they could be very smart. It's that they became indoctrinated or infected with something that took them down. So all they know is to bludgeon and force. They don't know even the wiles of the devil, temptation, plans within plans, beguilement, word riddles, secret societies. I mean, I guess they learned the code of the secret society they're in, because these guys are all initiated. They're all part of it. They all have their rituals, and most of the rituals, though, are most of what I would call satanic rituals are news events that have been planned for a long time. So, for example, Event 201 will be a satanic ritual. The bombing of Russia becomes a satanic ritual. Everything does. Everything is. And so when people go, I couldn't find any satanic ritual abuse, it's like, is there abuse of children? Is there trafficking of children? Okay, well then you have murder of children. Okay, why don't they survive? Okay, so you have examples, and is there cannibalism? Oh, there is. Well, then you don't need any more than that. Whether or not they dress up in a fake Anton LaVey robe, or Anton LaVey was just there to let people know that Satanism isn't that bad, right? We don't kill people. It's like bullshit, dude. Anybody that's a Satanist has to kill people, or you're not in good standing. Your membership has lapsed. You owe the devil. I mean, come on. Can we stop with this dumb fucking shit we do? Now, these guys are all walking around. The reason they should be arrested is because of how retarded they are. They're the bludgeon, when there's all these other options. Like if I wanted 2030 to go, okay, Agenda 2030, I would beguile the human race into following along and entering into the trap. I would set a gilded trap that would attract them all. I would make it very tempting, just like they kind of did that with sex, drugs, and rock and roll, right? Don't trust anyone over 30, and sex, drugs, and rock and roll and LSD. Open your mind, tune in, turn on, and drop out. Remember? And so that was the way into the trap. And then all those people became secret society members, and then became entrepreneurs, and then became the rich of the world. But they're stupid to start with. And so it's almost like, people say, well, you got to be pretty smart to be a billionaire. No, you don't have to be smart. It's just the position that you're in. You must be obedient to and play that you're part of the game very well, which doesn't require a high IQ. And you have to then tout things that don't make sense, like statements that are completely untrue, like all of our diseases come from animals, and then say it straight face, and then they have MSNBC or whatever go, yeah, we need more vaccines. I'm ready to get my jab right now. Bill Gates is going to save the world. We're going to block out the sun. When you're really dealing with, I think maybe one of the things that God is doing with this whole thing, since ultimately there is, the final word. And the final word on it is, a lot of this is an aptitude test. And you're being tested to see if you have any discernment whatsoever. And unfortunately, in the United States, in dealings with people, I run into so many people that just don't have a clue what this is about. And I'm like, have you ever read a philosophy book, or been curious about ideas, or wondered about why the theologians wrote what they wrote? Or, have you ever been curious about things, about being, about existence? Have you ever been curious? Sadly, folks, the answer is no. They're not curious. Fortunately, we don't need all of them to make, for a global change. But the global change would only be, allowed if God allows it. Is this going to be a 1,000-year reprieve, a golden age, where people are going to be able to use their intelligence and not be stupid? Because you're rewarded for being stupid. Look at the John Kirby, how dumb that guy is. Everyone laughs about Sean Penn being dumb, right? And they think that's funny how stupid he is. He's also dangerous. John Kirby's right there with him. Most of these Joint Chiefs of Staff are right there with him. They don't read books anymore. They don't think about ideas. They just think about brute force. Just how am I going to bludgeon these people into compliance? And we got to scare them to death. I got a low IQ, so that's all I can think about. So you think, can we call them on the low IQ? Meaning when they process information, they come up with a solution. It has nothing to do with the problem. That's a low IQ. When you apply solutions to things, well, if you don't get the jab, you should be locked up. I had a dream about the jab where they're saying they're having an argument over vaccines, and Gates is saying, if you don't take the mRNA, if you don't embrace humanity, if you don't take the mRNA, I'm going to blood you. Going to get you. If you don't embrace the mRNA. Okay. And then they were saying about how, I've taken the jab, not me, but someone says I've taken the jab, so I'm protected from those people that don't want to take the jab. So I don't see why do we have to lock them up? Because they're dangerous, because they're danger to humanity. Okay, let's give an IQ test, okay? Okay, so we have a restriction in our neighborhood, which is basically a subdivided. It used to be like a movie ranch, and believe it or not, for old westerns and stuff. And you know, they divide it into little ranchitos, little parcels. Anyway, they have a covenant on the deed, and it's like you cannot have any more than 2 toilets unless you get special permission, right? They just wanted them. They wanted homes here to be like, you know, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and you know, no pools, no running water, no irrigation, nothing. Okay, so you know, they're kind of like Nazis. So I said to one of them, look, man, don't be so dumb. If what you're really saying is you don't want more than 2 toilets because you don't want more than that, you know, you're trying to limit the pollution or whatever you're trying to do. It doesn't matter whether you have 2 toilets or 100 toilets. It matters how many people there are in the house. That's going to determine how much waste there is, right? And how much is going to be going to the septic tanks. Not how many toilets you have. But these are the very same people that are like, you better get your jab or you have to go to a concentration camp. Why is that? Because you put me and my family in danger. How do we do that? If you had the jab and you're protected, how do we put you in danger? Answer, IQ. The guy's as fucking stupid as shit that he can't figure that out. The whole point of the vaccine is to protect people from anything related to the virus, whether it be other people or whether it be, you know, insects or whether it be animals or whether it be the environment. It doesn't matter. The whole point is if you're vaccinated, you're protected. You don't have more of a threat. If more people don't get jabbed, that does not increase the odds that you're going to get sick because you're supposed to be protected. It should protect you against any kind of toxicity. That's the whole point in getting it in the first place, right? So how can these people be that dumb? I mean, that's why I really quit talking to people that spoke like that, because I just felt that I think they're violating something with their. We each have like a, you know, there's a contract for living. You know, if you violate it, that, you know, karma could get you. You know, it's and I think one of them is using, you know, our God-given intelligence, our brains, and if 1/2 of the population won't use its brain, or just goes with slogans and stuff that makes no sense, then they pose a great threat and a danger to the world, actually. And these are the very same people that are trying to nuke Russia. You know, they want to get into it with Russia before, you know, Trump can take office. They want to leave things in such shambles that he can't lead. They don't care about what's good for the people. They don't benefit the people. They steal from the people. And then they want to sabotage the next president. And with all the things they've tried to pull and all the stupid shit they've done, has, you know, convinced me that if you're not, I mean, I can understand you not wanting to take part in politics and vote or anything, but if you don't see the difference between Biden and Trump, then you're an asshole. You're a fucking asshole. And if you have kids, you shouldn't have them. You shouldn't have them. You shouldn't have any more. You know, and if you think there's more than 2 genders, you shouldn't have kids. I mean, that's how serious this war is. But it's hard for me to understand how people actually become that way. I mean, even in my most radical sort of burn the whole place down, you know, join the revolution and you know, tear down the world and build it back as you know, socialism is fair or whatever. Even in my most deluded time doing that, nobody was as stupid as these people today. I mean, no one's as dumb as Sean Penn. I've never seen anyone as dumb as him. But he goes and shoots his mouth off, or George Clooney, or some of these other people. It's amazing. Is it that when you become a celebrity, you have to become dumb? Or is it because you stay away from the truth so much because it's offensive that you actually forget what the truth is, and so you become dumb? But stupidity is what brings humanity to its knees. Stupidity is what brings us to World War III. Stupidity is what destroys the genome, the men and women, male and female, now being violated, being attacked. I know what they want in the end. They want a genderless society of cyborgs, robots, and they want a silicone society. They want to, Bill Gates wants to destroy all the trees. Remember when they were talking about the trees being good, giving us oxygen, and the trees being healthy for humanity? Remember that? No, the trees are a blight, and they need to all be cut down and destroyed. And that's Gates. He's got to be the stupidest motherfucker that ever drew breath, and he's probably one of the most powerful. And people listen to his idiocy every single day. He lies. Whenever he communicates, he lies. He's only interested in one thing, total control over life and death. And he wants to be in charge of culling the population down to the size that he believes would be beneficial, along with his cutting out the sun, destroying all the farmland, destroying all the trees, and then destroying humanity. And yet he's walking around out there. The guy's walking around. What do you mean? How can you, in your good conscience, in society, how can you play with your kids? How can you go on a trip together? How can you relax? The answer is, for those of us who know what's going on, there is no relaxing. We're just trying to dodge the bullet that's trying to kill us all. And we don't relax because of, total dumb shits who have decided that they're going to exchange their human intelligence maybe to be a part of the club so they can get a paycheck. Now, I understand that, but do you understand what's happened to you? You have been maimed, my friend. Maimed. It's like someone put a bullet in your head. You don't have the IQ you had. You can't process information. Your conclusions are all false. And, your solutions are all detrimental to human. Read Noel Harari's book called Sapien. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. That's one of the dumbest people I've ever read. So I don't understand where you people come from. I understand you're earth dwellers. You like the earth. You want to get down in the mud, kind of like pigs. You just want to fuck like pigs, and you want to roll around in the mud, and you want to shit all over everything. And I understand that. That's where this is going. Maybe in your line somewhere, genetically, maybe it's a generational curse on you from things that your line has done in the past, from the sins of your fathers, now visited upon you because you are unrepentant and you feel like you're, a proud, what are you, a proud Democrat that is going to vote for people that have absolutely no capability of helping anyone except their own pockets in stealing from you. So you want to elect thieves because it's the cool thing to do. And meanwhile, you want to flush your brains down the toilet. And the other thing is, even if your brains were what they were 20 years ago, you have no opportunity to use them. Nobody wants to hear it. Nobody's going to let you use your brain. You're going to just die a retard. You're going to die retarded. You're going to die. It's really kind of like muscular dystrophy of the brain. You're going to die atrophied. When they do an autopsy on you and they open your head up, they probably won't have to look around, to find out where your brain is, or they'll see a lot of dead matter because those connections, those synapses are just not firing. We're going to bludgeon humanity. We're going to force them to comply. We're going to destroy all the trees. We're going to vaccinate all people, and anyone that doesn't want the vaccination needs to go to a FEMA camp because they're a danger to themselves and others. I see. Maybe you throw people in jail because if they're intelligent, they go to jail. If they figured out that if you're vaccinated and I'm not, you're protected, so therefore leave me alone, right? No, see, it's not about that. It's about breaking your will, breaking your soul. And Bill Gates is stuck back in World War II. Sorry, but all these guys are stuck in the past. They're like from the dark ages. They're whips and chains, hold them down, torture the slaves. I don't want to go on with this anymore. I just consider this just a recap of what I've been through. But it's really sad seeing people that had such promise in their youth become so stupid over time. But it does happen. If you don't use it, you do lose it, or if you misuse it, you lose it. And saying that, lies are the truth is a good way to dumb yourself down. But if you go with the truth, you won't be popular at Christmas dinner. Yeah, see, Ben's starting to act up. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit about writing. So I'm kind of in the middle of a writing project. So I'm trying to work it out with these podcasts and to be able to keep my energy up so I can write and do the podcast. I'm slowly recovering, but I still have tremendous fatigue issues and just symptoms of things. I don't want to go into it, but just things that are not good, and I don't think the AMA can really help. So that's what I'm dealing with. So I'm happy to say I'm engaged in my writing, that it's taken on a power, and it's what we talk about. You create enough material, even if you create background material, you create enough raw material to launch that screenplay, and it will then take on a life of its own. Well, it will start pulling you toward it like it's a person. When you get to that stage, you're home free. But to get to that stage, you have to show up every day. Even if you only write one page or a half a page, you have to show up every day and do something. Even if it's just editing what you did the day before, you've got to do something every day. You got to be there every day until it finally grows, from an embryo into being born. And when it's birthed, you'll know it. And a lot of people, they like to create material like cards, I love photographs and research I can do with lots of photographs of where I'm going to be, like where I'm going to shoot something. And I want to see lots of photographs so I can, it helps my imagination to really, put myself there in that situation. And so anything like that you can do to create what I say is raw material as a basis for your story is awesome, to just create that pile of stuff, and then you're drawing from that. And so your screenplay will be very, very realistic. Don't start barking now. You may need to go out again. I don't know. But so that's one thing. The other thing, so it's, the perseverance doesn't have to be hard. It just has to be a habit of showing up. Like I said, even if you just edit one page that you did the day before, at least you sat down. See what I mean? The important thing is to be there every day until it's over. And the reason for that is because it's a delicate life. It's like an embryo. And then it, is given birth. It's like a little baby. And, you need to be there every day to get it going. And then all of a sudden it starts growing up. And then it has this power and it's pulling you in. And and you're addicted to it. It's like you can't get enough of that story, and the story's interesting to you and it's pulling you along. And you're having a great time doing it, even though you're in a solitary. Most people go, well, God, that sounds boring, sitting in a room by yourself. And, but like I said before, we are never alone. That's the thing people need to understand. We are never alone, and we're never isolated. And, there are answers for every question we have. and they're all around us. What you're dealing with is the need to procrastinate, to put off, the right to just put it off another day. You'll be there tomorrow. And this procrastination, always leads to failure. If you give into it too much, you'll lose contact with your organic source that you've given birth to, your baby. And you once you lose contact with that, it's no longer feeding you, that energy. And so it becomes a little bit of a hassle and an abstraction to get back to your writing, when all you had to do was just show up and edit a couple of, if you didn't feel like going forward, just edit the last 2 pages, rewrite the dialogue, make it better, just be there until you finish. And then, when you finish, realize that that's what's called a first draft. And a first draft is not a final draft. So then the fun of that is, well, what I do when I finally get a first draft that's decent, not glaring with errors, what I do is I start going to the printout. I start printing out on my laser printer. I start printing out copy. So we deal with hard copy. And that brings the joy back into it again. There's your hard copy. There's your screenplay. You can see it. You can feel it. You've got notes in the margins. You go through page by page. And, you're reading it down at the cafe. And you're making notes. And you get home to the computer and then you implement the notes, and that leads to some other ideas, some other revelations. Another thing you got to fight during the screenplay process is laziness. Sometimes you'll make a change, a global change, and it's going to affect everything in the screenplay, from the beginning to the end. But you're not doing all the work of adapting everything to conform to that, because it's a big lift and you feel tired already. And you feel like, so you're kind of looking for a way out of having to really just do that hard work of that getting in there with those details and really, if you change a location or you change a character or something like that, it changes the whole trajectory of everything because it's an organic thing. So then you got to go in there and really work with it anew, like it's a new project, and not be afraid of that kind of work. Not be afraid to have to change everything because you change one character or you change one location and it affects the whole thing. You just need to go through and make sure you get that finished. And just think of it this way. The change you made is going to make it much better for a reader that doesn't know who you are. You have to give the reader that doesn't know you a reason not to put the damn thing down. Okay? And you must defy the reader to continue reading. And basically I'm not sure they even give you 10 pages. That seems like a lot these days. But, there was the 10-page rule, right? If it's not happening in 10 pages, it's in the garbage can. That's it. You're done. You've failed the audition. You're out. And they're not going to hire you to do any projects, freelance. And the reason why is because you failed the 10-page rule. 10-page rule is it better knock your socks off in 10 pages or you're out. You're out. That doesn't mean you have to have a machine gun killing a lot of people in the first 5 pages. And I would also say that something has to happen in the first opening of the story. For usual commercial stories, there must be a hook. Something big has to happen on page 1 through 3. Maybe it's a flashback and a murder, and then we cut to the people trying to solve the crime in today's time, or something like that, and by page 5, and then there's a threat from mobsters or somebody that you better stop investigating. And they end up threatening your life, threatening your family to where you have to move your family out of the city. And now and then they finally kill one of your own and you vow vengeance and you're going to get these guys. And the rest of the screenplay is you, the little guy, going up against the big bad mafia or whatever, the big criminal organization that is wanting you not to investigate because it leads to ... government corruption at the highest places. It can bring the president down. So you're in a lot of danger. Even if you don't do any further investigation, they're still going to hunt you down and kill you. So there's that. Now, I mean, if you want to take that story I just rattled off and run with it, go for it. I'm just rattling off the top of my head something that would, that a structure that would actually work. And then it has to be plausible. Remember, fiction, has to be real. Fiction is basically reality, and reality they make into fiction. So your fiction has to be very plausible, or people won't buy it. Your news stories, your basically reality stories, have to be fictionalized in order for people not to get bored to tears and to finish reading the article. So fiction needs to be made plausible, and reality needs to be made into fiction to be palpable to the population, to a group of people, because nobody wants reality, and nobody really wants fiction. Fiction, like, when I say fiction, I mean, fiction run amok, like, then off the moon, this guy jumped from the moon down to the earth, and he ran around, eating Swiss cheese because he was running low on Swiss cheese, and the moon needed more Swiss cheese. So he started running around, and finally he jumped back up on the moon, and then the moon started laughing because it had a lot of Swiss cheese. Okay, so something like, see what you can do with fiction? It's easy to go completely implausible and just make something up that nobody would believe, or that it has to have the possibility of happening. And then it's up to you or the writer to make that possibility plausible enough that the reader, and then of course the director and the audience would, buy. And you can't do it. And same thing with a news story going nonfiction. You've got to fictionalize nonfiction in order to make it structurally appealing to an audience. Take the character of, Hillary Clinton. Let's say they do a documentary about Hillary and what a great woman she is. And basically, you start off, showing the struggle she had as a child and how people bullied her, and, all these, how she overcame every challenge, and she was just damn smart. So she was smarter than everybody else in school and excelled at the very top of school, and then got into the best law school and had so-and-so as a mentor, but she still had headwinds she had to fight. And, she, without any support at all, she fought for for her values and for the dignity of being a woman who is a lawyer and then a politician. And then she finally met the man of her dreams, Bill Clinton, and they fell in love and had a storybook wedding. And then they were in there working on human rights, and being fair with the economy and healthcare, and they were working on all these things for the people, thwarted at every juncture, thwarted by these mean, evil white supremacists and other kinds of people that don't like progressive ideas. And they fought really hard to make it a better country. And their fights, never over, but they were both extremely heroic. And Hillary Clinton rose above all to even run for president. And then they stole the presidency from her, but she still held her head high, and she never gave up fighting for you, the people. And then applause, and then Hans Zimmer raises the music up, and that's your movie on Hillary Clinton. I've fictionalized 90% of it, but that's so it will be, so you'll love it. And you can do this with anybody, or you can go the other way. She's a bad person, and you can just start listing all the bad things she's done. and make it appealing to people that hate her. But whatever you do, you're going to fictionalize it when you're doing nonfiction. And when you're doing fiction, it's gonna have to, they got to make you believe. Like I just saw this movie. It's popular now. It's I think they tried to do Die Hard at the airport. I think we've had a Die Hard at the airport, haven't we? Anyway, so it was called Carry On with Jason Bateman, and I don't even know the rest of the people. It was the story was, I don't want to get into just, railing against it, but I will say this, that it was a Netflix show. They put a lot of money into it. They did a lot of fancy special effects and directing. The director, I think, spent more time on his special effects than he did on the characters, though. That's one little criticism, because I didn't really believe any of them were real, but I did believe the situation was real, because they did a lot of filming of things like the baggage. What are they? The conveyor belts for the baggage. All those conveyor belts underneath the airport and where they go, and just like the protocols of the airport, and the way, I really believed, and then, a terrorist gets on there and is going to gas all the people and kill them all because there's somebody on the plane they need to hit, so they're going to take them all out, which I've always said, when a plane goes down, 250 people dies, and I wonder who was on that plane. I wonder what one guy they had to get, because they'll kill 250 people just to get one guy. Oh yeah, they do it all the time. It's standard operating procedure. But they had to make me believe that airport protocol, police protocol, how the terrorists are very precise in what they're doing, trying to get through security, and their methodology of doing it. Now they're not using, in this particular movie, they're not using methods that you might have read about. They're basically having to take fictional methods, but make them seem non-fictional, so that you believe that's real, that could happen. And the bigger sociological issue, of course, for the movie is that it's predictive programming. In other words, it looks like they're getting ready for some false flags, and they're going to pick on airplanes pretty soon. So that's what I would say. I also felt that Jason Bateman was terribly miscast, and there was no need to have him there. He did a good job. He always does. But I mean, there was no need to have him there. You didn't need him. Maybe he just wanted to do it, but you didn't need him. Any kind of thuggish guy would have done. Maybe because he has kind of a schoolboy looks. That was better to have for a terrorist. I don't know, but it's worth a watch. It's definitely got some fantastic car chases and different things going on in it. It's Christmas. It's the airport. Everyone's at the airport. We just got back from the airport from Rome, and the airports were jammed with people, weren't they, Trish? I mean, they're just jammed with people. It did create that atmosphere of the airport very well. So that's, for that reason, I say it's worth a watch. As far as if you're a critic, that applies to my friends who are critics, especially one. I would say, I don't know. I'm afraid to recommend or not recommend to critics things, because they find stuff wrong with movies that I never even dreamed of. So, but I'd say in general, if you got nothing else to do, it's probably worth a watch. It's a waste of 2 hours. You're not going to learn anything new, but we tell each other stories because movies help to improve our health, improve our connection, improve our compassion. Movies can do a lot of things. Storytelling can do a lot of things that can heal the nations. It's just that we're so divided now between I guess the division is not between left and right. It's not, because the left never were warmongers. Now the left are warmongers. So I can't get in. That's all confusion now. But I do believe it's a genetic thing. I'm not sure I haven't seen enough people who have converted from one to the other. Like I was, you know, a rabid Trump supporter, and then I saw how crooked he was. And I woke up and I quickly joined the Democrat Party. And I went all in for Biden, you know, one of the most fair people that has ever, one of the most diligent politicians, and one of the nicest families that could ever be. And, you know, when Biden started failing in health, I supported him all the way because I didn't want that evil orange man in there. You know, that Trump that was basically lies about how much value his buildings have. And he's been convicted on 34 counts of fraud. And, you know, I woke up. I woke up from my delusion. Or conversely, I woke up from my delusion and I realized that Kamala Harris, as soon as I got a look at her, the whole Democrat Party unraveled. I realized they don't have any policies. They don't have anything. They want war. So I quickly went over to Trump's side, and I found that people I really respect, like people like Joe Rogan and Elon Musk, and those guys are already there. So I felt right at home. Isn't it silly, this whole thing? You know, in a way, you know, I guess if it weren't so life and death, it would be, if it weren't so tragic, it'd be funny, but it's tragic. What's tragic is that, you know, people basically most people are homicidal maniacs, but they suppress it, right? We go watch movies, we watch sports, we watch, you know, UFC, and we suppress that need to kill each other because it's really strong right now. People really want to go, they want to kill, kill, kill. That's not the natural state of people. That's the state they've been programmed into by the state, who basically wants your money and then wants your life. And that's kind of where we wound up. I'm again, it is mystifying that people didn't figure this out. There are many that are figuring it out right now. You know, there's a lot of Democrats who have figured out that both parties are polluted, but that this MAGA thing is not the most evil thing that ever hit the world. You know, have actual borders, have a language, have a security in the world. You know, deal with world leaders and you know, toe to toe, face to face. You know, head to head in whether win or lose. It's important for the United States to continue to be. Well, the United States has one real purpose. It must return to this idea of freedom. And it's like every which way we try to I mean, what was the lockdown? That was taking away freedom. What was the you know, compliance with these jabs? Taking away freedom. What was the fact that social media, they started throwing people in jail for posts they made on Facebook? Exactly, that's no freedom. They want your freedom. You know, so for me, I mean, I got friends who are Democrats, Republicans, or nothing, and they don't participate in voting about anything. And people that are Buddhists, Christians, Muslims, Hindus, and all are, you know, and so I celebrate all of it, saying, well, that's great. That's called freedom. You can worship, you know, the way you want. You don't have to be in one of these right-wing, militarized, evangelical hate groups that calls itself the Church of Jesus, and that everyone else is going to hell but them. We went through that back in the early. Remember that? We have to talk to Frankie about that. Frankie and I went through the prophecy wars along with some other people, and basically they would just write up about me. They would write up that I'm a CIA agent, and so is Trish, but Trish is my handler, and I'm like, you know, for a while I entertained it. I said, yeah, I'm a CIA guy, you know. And then they thought, no, it's really NSA. And then it's like, no, Zeph is just pure evil. And his Zeph report teaches nothing but new age concepts. which most New Agers I know, they hate stuff that I talk about. They're not down with me at all. They're not. The New Agers don't believe that, but it was just a smear campaign. Now I was talking to Pia about that, my helper, about back in 2003, 2004. That was quite a time of slandering, and a lot of those prophets, you know. Oh, I had that one. I'm still here, false prophet. Remember that song I had? What was the name of that? Ezekiel 13. I wonder if I still. Yeah, maybe I'll if I have it, I'll put it up there. You can play it. It's based on that. And then the song Deluded too, about how social media is just a launching pad for people that hate each other. I see this guy Luigi Mangione, his name mentioned on one of these shows, one of these late night shows. I'm not sure which one, but the whole crowd erupted in wild applause, loud, like hero worship. And I'm like, so there's at least half of us that approve of murder, and that murder's the way to get what you want. And the only reason they haven't started in yet, which they're chomping at the bit to start killing people, is because their leaders, their politician leaders, haven't given them the go signal to go ahead and tear up. Because what they're going to do, they're going to infiltrate the suburbs. They're going to try to kill everyone in the suburbs and kill all white people, and whatever these nefarious plans are. It's going to be up to Trump to be able to put that stuff down. And when they start complaining, or I saw Rachel Maddow, and she was reading about deportations or something, and they were saying that Trump is separating these babies from their mothers and fathers and just sending them wherever. And she broke down crying, and she couldn't finish the segment. And I'm like, after all the lies this woman has put out, after all the whipping up dissent and wanting people to kill each other, after all the hatred that she's spewed, where in the world did she get this idea of crying? Now, of course, no one with half a brain, would take her seriously. Her tears are crocodile tears. She's just putting on a show to get you mad at Trump. That's really the whole purpose. Like, look, Trump broke poor Rachel Maddow, the fact that he's putting kids in cages and separating them, when actually he wasn't doing that. It doesn't even matter. But yeah, they were using whips on those people. Well, no, those are ropes to control the horse, not whips. And no, they weren't whipping people. But people believed it. And now they believe all this toxic talk, and they want to go out and start shooting people. Like, I'm sure they would love to. Yeah, I worry about things like the inauguration. You're going to have all these, enemies of the earth dwellers, and they are earth dwellers. I mean, they don't look. They're like hogs in a sty, and their noses are in the mud. And I wouldn't be surprised if they don't get together with this idea of you could take them all out in one go. Trump, the whole population, all the Elon Musk and all that stuff, and all the other politicians. You could just you could get back to the uniparty and fairness and goodness of Rachel Maddow, and the goodness of Hillary Clinton, and the goodness of Nancy Pelosi, and the beautiful mandates for humanity of taking the jab and learning about how to be a good person, and letting yourself understand about genders and different things, and learning rather than just being a bigot, a transphobe, or whatever you are. I don't have time for any of that. I've worked with people men who put on makeup and dresses, in feminine clothing. I work with guys that wear camo and have beards. It's fine. You know, I don't, as long as we don't kill each other for having a different point of view. Because the first and foremost thing on my agenda is freedom. I have the freedom to worship the Lord the way I see fit. I'm not a member of a church. I don't follow their rules. I'm not ordered to go, you know, to a state church and bow down. I have the right to worship or not worship, whatever I want to do. I have the freedom to do it. I'm very grateful for that. And we don't want that, if that's lost, like they tried to do already with COVID, which was a man-made, you know, Event 201, Johns Hopkins University. Go look it up. You can read all about what they had planned years before they actually pulled it off. Everything is pre-scripted. Everything is a simulation. Nothing is real. But you can't just say nothing is real. You got to go beyond that. If nothing is real that I'm being shown, the drone issue should have told us that, right? We don't know what they are, but I assure you, none of you are in danger. So it's incumbent of us to figure out what is real. We should have a natural, childlike curiosity. Well, if this isn't real, what is? And that should send us on a wonderful journey of discovery. What happened? What happened? Anyway. Buckle your seatbelts. Wall of prayer for the inauguration. It's coming up in about 21 days, 22 days. You know, there's forces out there. I think it's like a genetic thing. I'm not sure there's choice involved in a certain level of this, but we'll, you know, there's a certain, you know, they say birds of a feather. You know, there's something to that. With this division of it's not politics. That's the other thing. It's they say it's based on left versus right. It's not left versus right. Again, left is anti-war. So we're that. So I guess I'm a leftist. You know, they say, well, you're a right-wing bigot because you're white. And it's like, no, I have also felt that I didn't belong in society and been shown the door. And there's, you know, and I've talked this over with Black people that feel alienated, and we have a little something in common. And it's a terrible thing to do to people to make them feel alienated, whether it's to a whole people based on skin color, which is something that the left is the main people that do that's their stock and trade. You know, racism is how they access power, you know, by pitting one group against another. And they've done this in many other countries too. You know, different tribes of you know, Islamics or different, it doesn't matter what it is. It's creating that division and that oppressor, and then saying, don't you want to go after the oppressor? Well, then vote for me and we'll go take him out together. It's terrible that you people have been living as wage slaves in the United States, and it's all Trump's fault, and he must be stopped. You know, and so when you think that way, you have turned your brain off, you've turned your soul off, you've turned off. You are now a light bulb that awaiting your controllers to turn on your light. And so you no longer have freedom, but you gave it up voluntarily. All of you who joined secret societies thinking you were going to get ahead by being part of the inner circle, the all-seeing eye, which is a lot of people on the earth. A lot of people join that. You know, you get inducted through sex, usually if you're a kid, right? Illicit, illegal sex. And then if you do a good job with that, you're trusted with the next thing. bid you shalom.
You can stay in your delusion. You can stay in your crib. You can stay in your feedback. You can stay beyond your welcome. Go out back, find the alligator. Go out front with the machine gun. Tell everyone how nice they are. I don't know you. Not anymore. I don't know you. Not anymore. 'Cause when I asked you, everything was fine. When I asked you, all was divine.
Irrational, repetitious.
You're deluded. You're deluded. You're deluded. I would like to know what went wrong back then. Why do they all stare? You made me into a pariah because I wouldn't lie. You made me an outcast because I wouldn't be your little bitch. Your little bitch. You made me a liar because you all lied.
Shotguns are out.
And now I'm not going to listen. Not anymore. I made you into a scarecrow. You tame the alligator with your machine gun. Oh.